I've been told is smoking. I used to smoke and I was a heavy smoker, but I quitted 15 years ago, more than 15 years ago. So those who are smokers realize smoking can really cause cancer, if it is the truth what I've been told. First and foremost, let me tell you about the hospital a bit. Some of the most interesting part in the hospitals was the tests. Before I went for this kind of procedure, you have to go through several tests. And though not talk about all the tests, let me highlight a few maybe tests which I found more interesting on about. One of the most interesting one was you have to be tested your capacity of your lungs before now you go for an operation. You have to do a COVID test first, and then your lungs must be proved they are capable for you to go a long process of a surgery. You know, my surgery was taking about seven hours. That test was quite interesting. You know, I entered there. You know, this guy is telling you to breathe out. And then all of a sudden you breathe in more. I know he was talking about with a bit of the Hindi language. So I could not properly understand. So it took me some time. He said, all those kind of, so it took some time. And it has to have a circle of, for you to qualify it, you have to make a curve 360 degrees. So it took me some time, and they started talking they started talking in Hindi, and I suspected maybe they saw it in me saying this black African cannot do a simple thing like a lung test. That's what I just assumed they must have been insulting me in their language. So I thought, why? Then I thought I better speak in my Kikuyu language. So I said, so they said, pardon? I said, Tike. So they said, do you understand Hindi? Tike. So they thought maybe I have understood what they did. And we all laughed about it. And eventually I was able to do that test. And I qualified with that 365, making the 365 graph. It was quite interesting. That's one of the issues. After I qualified with all the other tests, I went through. I was now fit to go for the operation. The operation took about 7 hours. And when I wake up, it was maybe after staying in the theaters, maybe about 11 hours, including recovery time. I was lucky. My recovery was was quite good. You know, I had prepared. I may go to intensive care. The doctor had told me maybe I may go to 2 days to intensive care, and probably another 2 days to high dependent unit. But luckily I wake up normal, and I bypassed the intensive care. And even at the high dependent unit, they decided I'm quite okay. All they did is bring that monitor where they monitor your blood pressure and a few of other organs. That was done for at least a day or two, and I was quite okay, because even the second day I was able to start walking. But what I remember is when I wake up in those 2 days and I look myself, it reminded me of the Chinese movies where where after the movie you find the star is with a lot of bandages, because I had so many bandages. First one, I had a bandage here. This was supposed to. This bandage was holding in preparation of in case I need my veins, my may need blood transfusion, all those kind of things. So there were a lot of it here, and there was a bandage, and then they had to remove lymph nodes. Lymph nodes are what produces white cells. I understand they were 18 in numbers, but I can count about 7, the marks in my body. So and each place where there is a cut, there was a small bandage. So you can imagine about small 7 bandages on my bodies. And then on my left side here, which is still aching even up to now, they had inserted a tube to remove, to be able to be removing the fluids. And then the starting now is my bag. This urine bag. You know, it's a hole which has to be from the kidney to up to here. It is they had used my small intestine. So, and then they had put me the urine bag. So the urine bag looked like a sheath, you know, where you put a sword. So with all the bandages, I look as if I've come out of a movie. But anyway, my recovery went well. And the second day, so the doctor came, and the first question is, have you passed weed? Passed weed is fatness in simple language. Had not passed. He said no. So he said, okay, you need to, if you pass weed, you're part of a treatment. It's almost 50% part of your treatment. Eventually, maybe by afternoon, I was able to pass at least one. And I can remember my wife saying, praise the Lord. And I laughed about it. Even now, fasting we are praising the Lord for fasting and thanking God for fasting. So eventually, I continue. Even the third day, I was able now to do another one, and then the doctor was saying, "That's very nice." And it became fasting became one of the best thing now in there. It is every time I fart, I say, "Take care," and my wife say, "Praise the Lord." So eventually, now we went to the third day. I was told to maybe to have a bit of solid food, so I was able to have an egg. Scrambled egg and some soup, but still I was not being able to pass the motion, as they were calling it. That is, being able to go to the toilet, the bigger toilet. So I was not able to pass the motion. So eventually the doctor had to give me some medicine to be able to pass the motion. And eventually I was able to pass the motion the first day. He also gave me the second day some medicine, And eventually by Friday now, because my operation was Monday, I had passed motion maybe 2 or 3 times. And the doctor told me, now you're okay. If you're able now to pass the motion and able to pass wind, you'll be released. So I was released on Sunday after 7 days. One of the things there is some nurses couldn't understand English, others could not understand English, so some of them were talking to me in Hindi. And every time somebody talked to me in Hindi, because I know I can't understand Hindi, and I used to speak to them in Kikuyu. So we communicate with their hands, and if somebody speaks in Hindi, I will do my hand like this and whatever. So I could see he was telling me now that for me now to leave the world, I have to sit in the wheelchair. And he was speaking in Hindi. And then me, I was speaking in Kikuyu, and so he even went and called the supervisor. My wife was shouting to me, stop being childish, sit on the wheelchair. I'm fit, I will not. I've been released and I have to walk out of the hospital. I cannot leave the hospital sitting on the wheelchair. So eventually, after a small drama, the main supervisor came who understand English, and eventually he laughed it off, and they all agreed I should walk out. I should walk. So eventually we are able to leave the hospital, walk down, took the lift, went to, there is a professional, there is a lounge for international people. I went and sat there as my wife was doing buying the medicines. So after the medicine, now we took the taxi up to, that time to another, it's not this place. We went to another apartment, which is smaller than this. That's where we went. And our first night, we slept well. I have to, the biggest trick is at night, I have to be able to understand how to connect to my urine bag. This is small. So at night, I have to connect it so that it comes, so that most of the urine go now to the main bag. And the first morning, I mishandled the urine bag, and I spewed some of the urine. That was the first headache. I had to clean the place and wipe, because now we can't wait for waiters we can't wait for the waiters to do this kind of things. So I said, welcome to my new life. I have never heard of anybody else with this kind of cancer. So I'll be talking about it because for those who will be getting it in the future, I want to be a role model to show them how to go about it. So I'll be bringing this kind of bags so that somehow we can be able to assist others.